Okay, we should have some African cheer here, since you never go among Africans without some dancing and singing. And those are not just culture, as they say. Culture is about emancipation, about freedom, about expression. And so I'm really delighted to be here. I am worried because I now have the dubious distinction of having coined the title of this conference. But nevertheless, I think you will come up with, at least identify some of the key strategies for Pan-Africanism for the next generation. And if that happens, then I'll be proud, very proud, to be associated with the conference. I'm chairing the session on natural resource management. And I am very passionate about natural resources in Africa. What we have seen, I would argue, in the last 10, probably 20 years or so, and certainly since 2007, the financial crisis of 2007, is a second scramble for land and natural resources in Africa. We have intense competition now going. People are using the term land grabbing or land appropriation and so on. States are campaigning now or finding themselves in positions where they're being pushed to sell large tracts of land in Africa to private entrepreneurs. The World Bank is pushing for large-scale agriculture. And in fact, just yesterday I was reading on I think it was on the BBC website, about rural Tanzanians in the north protesting because the state had given over large tracts of their land to large-scale agriculture. And the assumption is that large-scale agriculture is going to deliver, and this is funded by the Bill Gates Foundation, and their idea is that Africa is going to have a green revolution. And those of you who've studied the Green Revolution that was attempted in the 70s, you will know that the dynamics in Africa are not going to deliver that sort of green revolution. And in fact, the peasants themselves, if given the resources, can deliver that themselves. We know the focus on African environment, certainly within the academy and certainly in Oxford, has been around issues of conservation. I teach in the School of Geography. I have a course on African environments for the master's students. And that course actually deals with the political ecology of conservation, because the emphasis on African environments, on conservation in Africa in the academy and among policymakers is that Africans are destroying the environment. Right? So they focus on burning and other activities that rural Africans do as part of their livelihood strategies, and say those things are destructive of the environment. So they criminalize the ways in which Africans try to provide for their basic resources. I think there is a bigger issue with regards to the environment in Africa, and that's the focus on the direct exploitation and the acute, of resources by multinational corporations. What we are witnessing now with regards to the land grab, but also oil grabs and so on, is what the geographer David Harvey calls a process of accumulation by dispossession. And that's what's taking place, I would argue, is taking place on the continent of Africa today. And the experience of ordinary people is often discounted for the better good. And that's why I'm really delighted to welcome our speaker here today, who's going to talk to us on this issue. Lebon Mite, who's over here, I don't know whether you want to come up as I introduce you. You could just stand there so that I can. Lebon Mite is president of the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People and chair of the Niger Delta Committee. MOSOP, the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People, is an environmental justice movement and has for many years led a non-violent campaign against environmental degradation of Ogoni land by oil companies and the corresponding social deprivation that results. Lebon Mite works towards sustainable peace and socio-economic development in the Niger Delta. And this is, as I think, this is the biggest environmental issue in Africa, the social injustice that has emerged as a result of the exploitation of Africa's resources. And so you're going to tell us about the experiences of the people in the Niger Delta. Welcome.